introduce you all to Evelyn Bailey. She is our district secondary teacher of the year from LaPorte High School. And Evelyn, if you all don't know this, she is also one of 5 finalists for the Region 4 Teacher of the Year. Please welcome.
I don't do heels, so I could just use I'd be perfect Bailey there. It's all really very surreal for me. I can't believe they actually gave me a microphone. Told me I could say whatever I wanted to say. Bad idea. It's always so much fun for me to come to Convocation every year because you get to see the way that we all just kind of divide ourselves into groups. So up front, it's really funny. Up front, you have those elementary school teachers. We're all wearing the same color shirt, throwing confetti and cheering, or also doing David Letterman style stuff. Then you got the junior high teachers about 3/4 of the way back. They're all looking still a little dazed from last year. A lot confused about how they even got here. And pretty concerned about the upcoming year with those little balls of hormones coming in their room. And then, if you squint really hard, you see high school in the back. By the door, waiting to bolt as soon as we're done. Some of you are out there playing games on your phones. Some of you are sleeping. Some of you are talking. Some of you are texting. Some of you are glaring at me right now. Pointing that out. And I actually know you're playing on your phone because I was doing it when Mr. Graham was speaking. I actually had a viable reason for doing it. He reminded us to vote, which in my convoluted thinking actually reminded me I had jury duty this Wednesday. And I had to decide if I was going to do professional development and sit meetings all day or if I was going to change jury duty. Still haven't decided. Anyway, it's kind of funny because you can see the dynamics in this theater today are very similar to the dynamics that we have in our classrooms, and it's really fun, especially if you allow your students to sit wherever they want to. They'll do the same sorts of things. Go back and try it one day. It's a pretty interesting sociology experiment. You can do it just to amuse yourself for a little while. Especially if you're feeling sluggish or you ran out of coffee. Now, if I were a really good teacher, like people keep telling me I am, I'd make you all put away your phones and make you stand up and make you find 6 people from different schools that you don't know, introduce yourself to one another and sit in new groups together. I won't do that. Partly because I'm not wearing the bulletproof vest to protect me from the assassination attempt my friends in the back are plotting already. And also Terry would probably chase me off the stage with the business end of a broomstick. But all of this does actually bring me to a point. As teachers, we have to be and do the very things that we expect our students to be and do. So if that means diversifying ourselves and putting away our phones and gadgets, then that's the example we should actually set for our students. I would dare argue that we're all pretty excited for the coming year, at least to some degree. Maybe not about having to get up early or the mad morning rush, but the idea of having a new start, of having a clean slate, of the possibilities presented to us kind of excites us. So it seems that giving you an inspirational or motivational speech on August 20th is a bit like preaching to the choir. So instead, I'd like to fast forward to Tuesday, January 22nd. Thanksgiving and Christmas breaks are already past. It's about 8 weeks until spring break, counting the days. There's nothing in between January 22nd and spring break. You've already used 5 mental health days. You're plotting your time wisely. State testing is looming much closer on the horizon than it has been, and the kid whose name you've known since the first 10 minutes of class on the very first day of school comes into your first period, plops down in his chair, and says, "Are we doing anything today? Can we just watch a movie?" And you're mentally and physically exhausted. You look at the stack of grading that you have, the attendance correction sheets you have to do, the progress reports you have to turn in, the IEPs you have to fill out, your ARD calendar, and all the other paperwork you have to do, and you think, I do actually have a copy of the Smurfs movie. And it does bear striking similarities to Milton's Paradise Lost. There's a wise old Smurf who tells the other Smurfs not to do something. You got the two Smurfs who do it anyway. You got a fall from grace. You have the sacrificial Smurf. You got a Satan figure. And then I can just make them write a comparison essay at the end. You can insert whatever convoluted justifications, but everybody has had that day. So, today's message is for that day. I have a poster in my room that says, "People may not always believe what you say, but they will always believe what you do." As we all know, actions speak louder than words. Of course, we head into this new school year with high expectations for our student success, but how many of us really hold those high expectations throughout the year? Sometime between August and January, our expectations for our students and what they can do atrophy. By January, I hear a lot of teachers say things like, "I wish I could teach this to my kids, but they'll never get it." Or, "I can't do that activity because my students will," and then you fill in the blank with whatever it is that they do that drives you nuts. Or, especially because I teach AP and pre-AP, I hear teachers say, "Well, you can do that. You have the smart kids. That'll never work in my class." But how unfair is it for our students, for us to deprive them of an opportunity to grow and learn just because we don't think they can get it? Students, no matter what level, really desire a challenge. If they didn't, then video games, UFC fighting, and senior pranks wouldn't be so popular. The difference really between a sullen, disruptive 16-year-old and the inquisitive 2-year-old is the number of times he's been told that he can't do something instead of being encouraged to simply try the difficult things. As teachers, we set the tone for our classrooms. Students are pretty perceptive, and if they sense that we don't think that they can do something, then they won't. When they won't try, then we lower our expectations more. We ask less of them. We teach down to them. When we lower our expectations for them, we not only cheat them of the success at levels that they didn't know they could achieve, but we also cheat them by not giving them the opportunity to discover their potential. Even if we don't say it out loud, if our students sense that we don't believe they can reach further, work harder, succeed in the hard stuff, then they won't try. It's just human nature. Instead, we have to maintain our expectations for their success. We have to push them to achieve more. Is it difficult? Yes. Will they fight you every step of the way? Absolutely. Does it mean more work for us? Yes. But the payoff is worth the effort. But it isn't enough, though, to just hold those high expectations for our students. We have to hold those high expectations for ourselves as educators and as learners. On that same day in January, when it seems so much easier to show that movie, you may have to fake it, but show enthusiasm for your day. Say, I feel the same way, totally getting it, but instead, let's just read a story. Just read a story for fun today. Students are going to follow your lead. If you want your students to read for fun, then read something for fun. If you want them to be better readers, read with them, not to them. If you want your students to be better writers, write with them. Don't just tell them to write. Let them catch you being a reader and a writer. If you want your students to be problem solvers or innovators, give them a challenge that allows them to problem solve and innovate. If we give our students packets to get through for a unit or worksheets to turn in before the end of the class, then they'll become packet learners, and they'll only transfer their learning to the worksheet that you've given them. Instead, inspire your students to be creative, to be leaders, to be learners, by embracing those qualities in yourself. Like Barbie said, be creative and have fun. After all, if you're bored with your lesson, your students are going to be bored with it too. If you don't value the material enough to put some time into it yourself and personalize the learning, neither will your students. Embrace the things you loved about being a student and continue to be a student in your classrooms. The experts always tell us that we should model and scaffold information for our kids. So, model how to be a learner, how to be a thinker. Teachers have to be, first and foremost, students in their own classrooms. We must value collaboration, forward-mindedness, and dynamic thinking as a lifestyle in order for our students to cultivate those very qualities. As teachers, we have to be and do. We have to lead by example, inspire our students to challenge themselves, show them that the world is always changing, and with the possible exception of calculus, there's no right or wrong answer. Although I think there's an infinity or something like that, right? We have to teach students to be curious and to pursue and wonder by being curious and doing some wondering ourselves. Is it easy? Not by a long shot. It takes us changing the way that we think about our roles in the classroom and perhaps even in our own lives. It requires us to work harder, to think differently, and to try something new. The very things that we ask of our students, by the way. We can inspire students by embracing change and not being stymied by the way we've always done things or what we think our students can or can't do. If we empower our students with the skills, the knowledge, and the desire to be students, to inquire, to examine, to reject their assumptions, to be independent thinkers and learners by being students ourselves, then we can inspire them to push the boundaries of what they and we think that they can do to find new and exciting avenues to success, even on January 22nd.